Before we talk about whether Kitty Carnarvon was wrong to leave, we need to talk about who she was before any of that. The actress who plays Kitty is Merrin Dungey, and the first time you see her on Malcolm in the Middle, she's not playing Kitty at all. She's Malcolm's teacher in the pilot episode.
I have to say this is the high point of my day.
Stern, sharp, the one who tells the class to be careful with the fruit because she bought it with her own money.
You may take 2 pieces of fruit only, and please be careful with them. I bought them with my own money.
She's competent, slightly exasperated, and completely in control. Malcolm moves to the gifted class, and she disappears.
And I think we should recognize him for that.
That's it. One episode, except Merrin Dungey was so good that the creators couldn't let her go. They needed to find a way to bring her back, so they invented Kitty Carnarvon.
Oh, you'll have to forgive the mess, Malcolm.
When our Stevie enters a room, it's like a typhoon hit.
And here's what's interesting about that. The teacher in the pilot is assertive, slightly hard-edged, someone who takes up space. Kitty Carnarvon, when we first meet her properly, is the opposite of all of that.
Don't worry. That jigsaw puzzle will still be there in the morning.
Soft-spoken, conflict avoidant, completely absorbed in managing her family. Whatever Merrin Dungey brought to that first role, that energy, that backbone, Kitty had buried it completely. That's where this story starts. When Kitty appears in the sleepover episode, Malcolm goes to Stevie's house for the first time. What he finds is a household run entirely on anxiety.
This is so cool.
I heard screaming.
Bedtime at 8 p.m., sheets tucked in so tight you can barely move.
Now I know you boys want to do a little chatting before sleepy time.
Abe sneaks them an extra 30 seconds because he wants to be the cool dad. No HEPA filter at Malcolm's house, no motion detectors, probably an outdated alarm system. Far too dangerous for Stevie to sleep there. Stevie, who uses a wheelchair, has 1 lung and has asthma, says quietly, "It would help me feel normal." That's the sentence that tells you everything.
They just want me safe.
Stevie has been fighting his whole life to feel like a regular kid. And Kitty, terrified of losing him, has been working against that every single day.
Everything all right in there, boys?
Her love for him is real. Her fear is real. But the love has calcified into something that looks more like control than care. And she doesn't even seem to notice. The episode that changes everything for Kitty and for the audience is Dinner Out in Season 2. The Carnarvons invite the Wilkersons to a nice restaurant. Malcolm is skeptical. Lois is genuinely excited.
It's been a long time since anyone invited us anywhere. I wonder why that is.
The boys immediately start behaving like seals.
You are to be well-mannered and act civilized, or so help me, I'll wring your little necks, you hear me?
At the restaurant, Kitty orders tea. The waiter brings cranberry juice. Lois, on Kitty's behalf, immediately calls the waiter out.
Something wrong?
Yes, my friend ordered tea, and you brought her cranberry juice.
I don't think so.
This moment is tiny, but it's everything. Someone gets Kitty's order wrong. A loyal friend is ready to go to war for her, and Kitty retreats. She always retreats.
I like cranberry juice. Very healthy for you.
Lois eventually says it directly.
Hell, you are one of the most uptight, repressed people I've ever met in my life.
She gives Kitty a wet willy to provoke a reaction. And then something breaks. Kitty explodes. She screams at the waiter. She turns on Abe.
Mr. Ho-Ho's in his sock drawer. Who do you think you're kidding?
Honey, you have to pace yourself.
And another thing, Don Juan, there are 2 people in that bed.
Lois tries to tell her to pace herself. Kitty ignores her. She basically becomes Lois. All the rage and authority and volume.
Stevie, what the hell do you think you're doing?
With none of the years of practice managing it. Malcolm watches and says simply,
Whoa.
"Interesting dinner." The show plays it for laughs. And it is funny. But underneath it, there's something that isn't funny at all. This woman had so much trapped inside her that one dinner with the Wilkersons cracked the lid. All it took was someone telling her it was okay to have an opinion. There's a line in Dinner Out that nobody talks about enough. Hal and Abe sneak off to the bar. Hal asks how they ended up like this, so controlled, so deferential. Abe says,
Classic story. Raised by a grandmother and 4 spinster aunts. I used to wash their hair on Saturday night.
Hal says,
Poor bastard, you never had a chance.
And that's Abe's origin story. A man who was conditioned from childhood to serve women, to defer, to manage. We never get Kitty's origin story. The show never tells us. But one commenter online said something that stuck. I headcanon that like Abe with his spinster aunts, Kitty also had a childhood that screwed her up. That's probably right. You don't become that repressed in a vacuum.
Would you mind going to hell? And I absolutely did order tea.
That level of control over Stevie, over Abe's diet, over every surface of every situation isn't a personality trait. It's a coping mechanism. Something made Kitty this way. We just never find out what. The last time we see Kitty before she disappears is the season 3 premiere, Houseboat. The 2 families go on a trip together.
That's the king of the seas?
At some point, Lois walks in on Kitty and Abe making out.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I thought you
fighting?
Whatever is going wrong in that marriage, it's not the passion, it's something else. And then Kitty disappears. We don't see Kitty leave, we hear about it afterward.
Kitty isn't on a business trip. She divorced me 2 months ago. She's never coming home. What?
He hasn't been able to tell Stevie. He's been telling him she's on a business trip. Stevie finds out from Reese, of all people, who delivers the news with zero tact and walks away.
Okay, I told him.
What?
Stevie stops talking, completely. He gets a Stephen Hawking-style voice generator to type his messages.
You don't know anything about what I'm going through or how I feel. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to conserve my remaining strength for breathing.
Malcolm tries tough love, pelting him with basketballs on the school court, yelling at him to get up, and gets beaten up by bystanders who think he's being cruel.
Never help anyone.
Abe eventually reaches his son in a quiet, devastating scene where he admits his own failures.
I know it's not fair, but believe me, you can do this. I've learned to be amazed when it comes to you.
Stevie finds his voice again, literally, and Kitty is nowhere in any of this. She calls Stevie drunk on his birthday and asks for money.
My mom phoned me drunk.
That's the only contact we hear about. Not a letter, not an apology. A drunk call asking for cash. One fan forum puts it plainly. She felt being a wife and mother weighed her down from enjoying parties and having a naughtier lifestyle. She divorced Abe because Stevie had become more independent, and the marriage had been built around taking care of him.
But I know he is ruining everyone's vacation with his pouting and his sarcastic little digs.
That's a brutal summary, and it's probably not wrong, but it's also incomplete. Think about what Kitty's life actually looked like. A husband who is, by his own admission, a weak man.
I used to wash their hair on Saturday night.
Someone conditioned to defer, not to lead. A son with serious medical needs who requires constant vigilance. A social circle of one, Lois, who intimidates her.
You mean this wasn't about you wanting to be friends?
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
A self that has been so thoroughly buried under responsibility and anxiety that it took one restaurant dinner to make it crack. She had been good for so long, too long. She had been so careful, so controlled, so relentlessly managing everything and everyone that something in her finally snapped. When she comes back in season 6, she says it herself.
Because I spent so much of my life being righteous and uptight and good that something in me finally snapped and I had to be bad.
The last 2 years had been a nightmare of booze binges in hotel rooms, parties, weird scenes, pornos, petty crime. Musical chairs would never be the same. She tried everything. She got it out of her system, and now she's done. Is that a good explanation? No. Is it a human one? Yes. She doesn't knock on the front door. She watches through the window for hours.
Kitty Carnarvon?
A party she wasn't invited to. Her family celebrating Stevie's birthday without her. She stood out there all night. When Lois finally sees her, Kitty says,
I know what I did was terrible. I don't know what happened to me.
Lois says, what you have done is so creepy and evil it doesn't get fixed with I'm sorry.
You abandoned your family. Do you have any idea of the pain and humiliation you inflicted on that dear, sweet man and that poor, innocent boy?
I know you and I used to be friends, but that doesn't get fixed with I'm sorry. It just doesn't. And Lois is right. Abe and Stevie have already forgiven her. Abe, who is, as he himself says, a weak, weak man. He was always going to take her back. He's still in love with her. And the show, through Hal, makes that explicit. Hal tells Lois in bed,
and despite everything that's happened, he's still in love with her. I understand that. I would take you back if it happened to us.
Oh, you would not. How can you say that?
Lois refuses to forgive Kitty. She holds the line. She is the only one in the room still angry on Stevie's behalf.
Sorry, I don't have amnesia.
You're the only one who has a problem with this.
And then Frank Walston takes the stage, a beloved PBS children's host who gives a speech about manners.
But manners are so much more. Only human beings have a system that reminds us to care about each other.
Hal drunkenly yells, "You got that right!" Lois hears it.
Kitty, please forgive me.
Kitty and Abe and Lois stand together quietly before Stevie gets on stage and delivers the most inappropriately sabotaged etiquette speech in television history.
But I can't let this occasion pass without remarking that you all blow.
That moment of forgiveness is real. It's earned. And it's also the last time we ever see Kitty. The bartender approaches Lois at the bar with a card for Kitty. He clearly knows her, and not from anything wholesome.
So are both of you into the same scene? You know, snip, snip.
He backtracks quickly, claims they were in choir together. It's a tiny detail, but it says everything. This man knows Kitty from somewhere, not from choir, and that somewhere is clearly part of the 2 years we never saw. 20 years later, Kitty and Abe have separated again. They can't be in the same room without arguing.
I was wonderful.
Up until the moment I caught my ex-husband wallowing in his usual vortex of resentment.
It's over for real this time, but Stevie sees something his parents apparently can't. Kitty still loves Abe. She always did. The marriage didn't break because the love was gone. It broke because two people who never learned how to be themselves couldn't figure out how to be together either. That's the tragedy, not the leaving. The fact that even after all of it, the wild years, the pornos, the jail time, the drinking, the return, the forgiveness, she still couldn't fix what was broken at the core. Here's the honest answer: yes. Leaving Stevie the way she did was wrong. These aren't debatable. But was she a bad person? That's a different question. She was a person who had never been given permission to want anything for herself, a person whose whole identity had been built around managing everyone else's needs, a person who reached a breaking point and had absolutely no healthy outlet for it. No therapy, no support, no one who had taught her how to fall apart gracefully, and she came back. She stood outside a window all night, waiting for the courage to knock. She said she was sorry. She sat with the discomfort of Lois refusing to accept that apology, and eventually, when Lois did forgive her, she didn't gloat or deflect. She received it. Some people online want consequences. They want Kitty to have suffered more, and that's understandable. Stevie suffered, Abe suffered. The show gave her a relatively easy landing, but some people see her differently. One commenter who became a parent of a special needs child wrote, "As I became a mother to a special needs child, I learned to empathize and understand her a little more." Another, "One of the most repressed individuals ever. I'm happy she went out and did her thing. Both of those things can be true at the same time. She was wrong to leave the way she did, and she was a person who had been disappearing for years before she actually walked out the door." That's what the show never quite said out loud. Kitty didn't just leave one day. She had been leaving slowly, quietly, for the entire time we knew her. She was gorgeous, trapped, and done. I'd love to know what you make of her. I have a feeling this one is going to start a debate. And if you want more on the women of Malcolm in the Middle, check out Why Lois is Weirdly Attractive.